September 11, our last meeting of the calendar year. I'm Councilman Mike Bond, I'm the chair, joined by my colleague Paul Koretz. We're going to dive in. I do not anticipate we will be able to get through the entire agenda, but I am going to, even before I go to consent stuff, which means we'll have to do the multiple speaker comments, I'm going to jump right to item number 9, since there are so many members of the public who are here for it.
Item number 9 is the City Attorney and DOT reports and ordinance amending Section 80.36.11 to the Municipal Code, making it unlawful to operate a tour bus on any street LADOT is determined unsafe for tour bus operations.
Okay. We'll start with public comment. Anastasia Mann, Jeff Strabler, Adina Tessler, Gwen Slaughter. Good afternoon. Please start by just telling me your name so I can...
Okay, is this on? I'm Anastasia Mann. I'm president of the Hollywood Hills West Neighborhood Council.
Go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you all for taking time for us today. I am also a recognized leader in the travel and tourism industry for nearly 50 years. I've spent my whole adult life in this business. And Hollywood Hills West Neighborhood Council is the largest neighborhood council in the city out of 99. We represent over 65,000 homes and businesses for an estimated 225,000 stakeholders. For the last 7 years, our stakeholders have been coming to the neighborhood council meetings and our committee meetings with great horrific stories about problems with tour buses and tour bus drivers that have created many issues within our community. For, as I said, at least 7 years now. It's gotten out of control. I was the person who helped Andrea Nazarian, our assemblyman, create AB 25. I went to Sacramento to try to move control over these issues to local jurisdictions. Prior to that, there was a tour bus crash in San Francisco that killed, I believe, 13 people. And of course, at that point, it became important to local communities as well to try to put a handle on what was becoming that started as a pleasant experience to take tourists on a drive around cities to becoming a very dangerous not just to the tourists actually in the vehicles, but to the people in the community, to commuters, to residents, and to other people. So this has evolved over quite some time. There have been LAPD and PUC groups that have gone out and tried to, deal with the tour bus operators to get them to control the drivers and to try to prevent some of the issues that have been created. There's been home break-ins, there's been accidents, there's been buses catching on fire, there's been a lot of violations of driving laws, et cetera. However, it has just reached the point to which it has gotten so dramatic that now the Department of Transportation had to get involved and try to regulate what is happening within our streets because it's out of control. We have vehicles that weigh well over 6,000 pounds that are full of 10 to 14 individuals going into little small streets in the Hollywood Hills, small narrow roads that are cul-de-sacs, blocking access for people to get into their homes or out of their homes, blocking transient traffic, regular commuter traffic, running stop signs, running red lights, parking illegally all along Mulholland. The problems have created such a sad state of affairs on Mulholland because now practically the whole of the view site areas are no parking, no stopping, not allowing anyone to be able to enjoy our scenic highway, Mulholland Drive. This is out of control. We need to have your transportation committee look at this very seriously and to support the ordinance being presented by the Department of Transportation. It has been carefully vetted. We had a town hall and a Hollywood Hills West board meeting in April of this year, which over 400 people attended, and we invited all the tour bus operators that we knew of that are legitimate. There are some gypsy buses out there, and to have discussions on this issue. And the DOT presented an amazing video and slide presentation with great details on all the work that they had done to determine which streets were safe and which streets are not safe for these vehicles. And that also extends to the passengers in the vehicles who are put in danger. I personally have witnessed so many violations that I can't even begin to tell you, including a tour bus that caught on fire where a woman was holding a baby in her lap. There was no way to protect, no child protection, no one wearing seat belts. The restricted use of the loudspeakers is still happening. It just continues and continues. LAPD is exhausted by this. There are thousands of citations that have been given out. Buses have even been impounded by the PUC. It just continues and continues. And the safety issues now, when you combine all of the traffic issues with Waze and everything else going on, is just out of control. And we want to save lives. At the same time, we want our tourists and our visitors to have a good experience, not a bad tourism experience. So it's essential that we do the right thing and prevent this from getting out of hand any more than it already is. Protect our streets, protect our residents, and all the people that commute through our city to get to their jobs, their homes, all across the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, Jeff Strabler, Transportation Chair for the Hollywood Hills West Neighborhood Council. Since before being elected earlier this year, I've been receiving numerous complaints from stakeholders regarding unsafe activities by tour buses in the hills. I have witnessed unsafe actions including repeatedly stopping in traffic lanes on blind curves and waving cars around them, repeatedly stopping in no-stopping zone shoulders with the bus partially obstructing traffic lanes on blind curves, repeatedly crossing from Mulholland westbound to Mulholland eastbound and then stopping in a no-stopping zone shoulder and partially obstructing the traffic lane, once again on a blind curve, repeatedly blocking the Mulholland Pacific View Trail intersection, making it impossible for stakeholders to exit Pacific View safely, repeatedly discharging passengers in a no-stopping zone for passengers to cross Mulholland at the Hollywood Bowl Overlook, which is also on a blind curve. Unfortunately, tour bus operators have shown little concern for the safety of their customers or the stakeholders that live and work in the hills. As such, I strongly support the implementation of this ordinance. Thank you.
Very much. Ms. Slaughter? Yes?
Good afternoon. My name is Gwen Slaughter, General Manager of Starline Tours in Hollywood. Firstly, thank you for hearing us and giving us the opportunity to speak on this matter. I would like to say, on behalf of Starline Tours, as well as some of the other tour companies, we want to be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. However, we also have to be given the opportunity to be a part of that. It has been stated that tour bus companies has been involved in this matter, which is not the case. April 9th, I think it was, or April 17th, there was one meeting that we found out by accident that they were having in the Hollywood Hills Neighborhood Council. But since that time, we have not been informed. We have not been in contact with DOT regarding it, and we believe that tour bus companies, we're stakeholders also, and we should have a voice in it. Our concern is safety of the passengers and the residents.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Tesler?
Hi, Adina Tesler. I'm here on behalf of the Los Angeles Tour Bus Operator Coalition, which is a group of small tour bus operators, about 15 of us now. We're here for the same reason, to be a part of a balanced solution. We did submit a letter with some of our points about the ordinance that we feel need to be addressed, but primarily we were left out of this process, and in no way were the tour operators consulted about what this should look like. Other cities have regulated tour operators since AB 25 passed, and in those cities there are actual maps. I submitted Beverly Hills maps so you could see it, so the tour operators know what routes are safe and what routes are not safe, and they can develop their business around that. Almost 400,000 people use these tours every year. It adds to our economy. It's important that we can provide them that. Certainly Hollywood Boulevard is not a destination right now. And so we need to think about not how to shut them down, but how to help them coexist.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Before I continue with public comment, I'm going to extend the courtesy to Mr. Rue, if you'd like to make remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Chairman Bonin, and colleagues in the Transportation Committee. It's good to be back being part of this committee before. And I also want to thank Hollywood Hills West, and in particular their president, Anastasia Mann, for all the work that we've done together. And I come before you today advocating in support of the tour bus ordinance and the ordinance that will prioritize public safety, especially in our narrow hillside streets. This is a long time coming. And my advocacy around this safer tour bus operation started when I first took office in 2015. At that time, many tour bus operators were operating in an unsafe manner, clogging substandard streets that are physically unable to accommodate 2 lanes of traffic due to the sharp turns and narrow corridors. Unfortunately, once those tour buses are on the hillsides, not only do they hold up hillside traffic, raising the risks of accidents, but they also cause undue burden on our streets. I appreciate tourism and its benefits to our local economy, but we cannot jeopardize the safety of our communities and visitors. For a tour bus industry that has routinely shown that it cannot maintain safety standards on its own. Many of the tour bus operators are acting honorably and with safety in mind, but many other bad actors in this industry fail to put public safety before a quick profit and exemplify why this regulation is sorely needed. We all have seen the news footage of a tour bus in flames, but that's only the beginning. Many tour bus operators continue to make unsafe stops, traveling up winding streets that weren't designated to accommodate them and put neighbors and passengers at risk. The ordinance before you restricts the operation of a tour bus on streets that LADOT has determined pose a safety concern under their tour bus prohibition guidelines. This is a necessary step towards making sure that we keep our neighborhoods and tourists safe in the city of Los Angeles. And I want to thank you for allowing me to be here today to advocate for the safety of our neighborhoods and ask for your support in moving this ordinance forward so that it can be heard in the Trade Committee and the full City Council. Thank you, members.
Thank you very much. All right, we will return to public comment with Paul Golding, Walter Vera, Robert Reed, and Sarah Jane Schwartz. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I just want to say that the tour bus industry profits from our neighborhoods without any accountability and limited regulation. And you've heard the examples. Oh, sorry. My name's Paul Golding. I'm from the Upper Nichols Canyon Neighborhood Association. We have plenty of evidence, which are more than happy to show you photographic and video of what they've done. But the main thing I want to say is that these tour buses have no incentive to obey the law. Their business is to stop and show you where someone lives, not to stop a block away and say we went by it. So without your help, we have no way of incentivizing them to obey the law. And they most definitely do not. So we need your help because they have no financial reason to obey the law, and we have no other way to control them or ask them to behave in a legal and safe manner. My biggest fear is a head-on collision on Mulholland when a tour bus guy pulls over and waves a car past him in a neighborhood that the tour bus driver does not know on a blind curve. This happens with great regularity in some seasons once an hour in some neighborhoods. So we urge you to help us with this ordinance. Thank you.
Very much. Ms. Schwartz?
I'm sorry, I thought I was last.
You can go ahead. I'm just going to go this way.
Oh, all right, okay. Sarah Jane Schwartz, representing homeowners on Beechwood Drive, which has sued the city over tourist issues on our street. We applaud the long overdue tour van ordinance, but Councilman Rue, how can you on one hand be leading the charge on tour van regulations, while on the other hand be leading the charge announcing last week that you want to push through tour vans on Beechwood Drive, which would involve negating the very safety protections and exemptions you are promoting here, violating a court-ordered closure involving safety, and having to create an entirely new but extremely dangerous entrance into Griffith Park for these vans. We also feel the ordinance is not stringent enough, particularly with fire dangers. We are proposing all substandard street segments and very high severity fire zones be exempted, all areas which are specifically endangered with extraordinary fire conditions be exempted. For example, Hollywood Land with substandard streets sits in a bottleneck into Griffith Park, 80% surrounded by dry brush. In addition, we propose 2 other measures. All substandard street segments with no sidewalks be exempted, and weight limit segments of 6,000 pounds be exempted with easier measurement standards. The city needs to protect...
Thank you.
All right, Walter Vera with 360 LA Tours. And I am here for you guys to understand that there are many other factors surrounding these accusations of the tour bus companies are causing too much of a danger in these areas. which are not facilitated for us to be able to transit and park. There are no designated areas for us to park and show people the view of the city or the view of the Hollywood sign. Unfortunately, yes, the city is not accommodating us to be able to proceed and do our job. And what else? Even if we all get a permit, which they say we have a permit on the Mulholland Drive area to show the view of the city, even if we all get the permit, the city cannot handle all the business that we provide also. There's so many tour buses that well, sorry.
Thanks, sir. Okay, thank you. Is Robert Reed here?
He left already.
Okay. Next four speakers, Susan Mullins, Renee Rassicot, Stacy Sillins, and Richard Klug.
Thank you very much, and very happy to be here. I'm Susan Mullins, and I am with the leadership team of the Upper Nichols Canyon Neighborhood Association. And this is really all happening in our backyard, our front yard, and so forth. We are on Mulholland Drive going from the Universal Overlook, which is a prime place for tour buses to stop, the whole way to Runyon Canyon. We go down through Woodrow Wilson and down Nichols Canyon Road. So that's our neighborhood, and that's why we're here, because we're very concerned of what we see on a daily basis. There are over 600 neighbors just in our small area, and they would have been here today, but unfortunately, as you know, they have to work, they have childcare. So I want you to know that our voices represent a much larger group than those who are here. And they're no less impacted and no less interested. We're grateful to David Rue.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Renee Rassico. I want to say I've lived in the Hollywood Hills for 30 years. I'm on Mulholland Drive. I've seen the traffic conditions, obviously, over the years change. What I'd like to focus on is the fact that what we've been dealing with has evolved even recently in an exponential way, because now with all of the GPS traffic that we're getting on the small streets that we didn't have before, you've got all of these drivers in addition to the tour buses, and the tour buses are also changing from the chopped up vans to very, very large vehicles. And so that's competing with all of this traffic. Now the residents who are there all the time try to be patient with the tour buses, but I can tell you the drivers who are going through that are looking to move from one side of the city to the other are not as patient, because they're trying to get around these buses and move along to where they want to go. So this is a larger and larger problem.
Thank you.
Richard Klug, I'm president of Taurus and Flint Association. Krieger, who left, is our vice president. We're 83 homeowners at Taurus and Drive and Flynn Ranch Road. Our issue is safety. We have a real problem. Our streets are 22 to 24 feet wide. There's parking on one side. They try to bring the tour buses up because there's an alleged celebrity up at the end of Taurus and Drive, and it just doesn't work. Generally, the safety is terrible. They'll stop suddenly on Mulholland Drive. They stop at the no stopping zones and wave people around. And I know things have happened, but you can expect worse things to happen. Also, we've met with tour bus people. They've been at our meetings. One was at the library, Durant Library, and they sat in front of me. Also, we had one at the Veterans Hall or something on Highland, and they were there. They were present. And they know all about this, and they can be stakeholders if they want.
Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Stacy Sillins. I live in Upper Nichols Canyon, and thank you all, and thank you DOT and LAPD and Anastasia and everybody who's worked on this. So we could show you hundreds, if not thousands of photos and videos, but I'm going to tell you my personal story. So I was one of those people in a car accident because of a tour bus, as was my husband. And so because a tour bus was going so slowly, the car, who was wrong, went around the tour bus around a blind curve, and who was there? Me. And today at 6 o'clock, I'm going for PT again for my back. We're not making this up, it's real. My husband was in a car accident. He was with a tour bus, at Torreyson because the woman holding the microphone while she was looking in the other way pulled out into oncoming traffic, and my husband couldn't stop in time to hit her. We have seen that tour bus around with the paint on the van, by the way. So these are real issues. We don't want to sound like we're NIMBYs, but please vote yes for this ordinance and help to make our lives safer. These roads are not fit for this kind of traffic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mary Robinson, Steve Bauer, Jan McGuire.
Jan McGuire had to leave, and Mary Robinson had to leave.
Steve
Bauer had to leave.
Okay. All right. Oop. This thing is acting up. Hold on a second. Okay. We're going to get back to this item in a second. I'm going to pause this to do. No, actually, we'll do this now. We have a few additional public speakers who also have cards filled out on other items, but we may not get to those other items today, so I'll take them individually now. Mr. Herman, if you want to speak, now's your minute. Mr. Spindler, Mr. Greenspan, Ms. Ramirez.
Is this item 9 regarding niggers? Why the niggers are using the Los Angeles Municipal Code to restrict our transportation? I'm a nigger, I use it all the time. Trains, skateboards, scooters, and now you're taking my fucking bus off my private property because some white bitch wants to come in and complain about shit that you guys permitted. Now you're stepping back. Now you're stepping back. Now you're going backwards on the shit you permitted because your racist, prejudiced, white fucking motherfuckers think you're so better than the rest of us. No, I want those motherfucking buses on the road now, rolling up and down your fucking streets, so you know what shit smells like when it comes out of your white bitch ass, you fucking cunts. 19-5565.
Time is up, Mr. Herman. And I will give you this is your only warning, one more disturbance and you're out of here. Is there anybody here in the audience who is new to City Hall or new to a committee meeting? All right, so let me give an explanation that Mr. Koretz and I are rushing to give. Due to a number of different court decisions over the years, we are obligated to comply with the First Amendment and allow people to come up and say the things that are often said at council or at this committee. As disgusting and as repugnant and as offensive as they are, we are required to sit here and endure this. We apologize to you. We wish you did not have to endure it. It's something that is a regular, unfortunate feature of every committee meeting and every deliberation in this building. And we sorely wish the courts would release us from that, but that's the situation we're in. Mr. Koretz?
And I do want to ask our city attorney representative if we are required to allow people testifying to post signs in front of them, or if we may make a general request that that not be the case.
It certainly shouldn't be on our property or on the microphone to attach things to city property. They're allowed to speak into the microphone. I believe they could hold it in their hands if they wanted to. But attaching it to city property.
Thank you.
Let's just get it over with. Mr. Spindler?
Yes, that's right. Representing my nonprofit transportation niggas, 401c. Now you fucking with our fools in the ghetto. I drive a tour bus and I happen to do World War II tourism. And what we do is part of our tour, we go up to the Hollywood Hills to visit the houses of famous rich Jew motherfuckers that buy all of our politicians. Now, we have a First Amendment right, we have a 14th Amendment right to use the motherfucking public streets just like those rich white motherfuckers that live live in all them motherfucking bungalows up there. Now, they ain't nothing but shit. We working, we paying taxes. I got my permit, my boys got the permit, and we want to drive our tour buses. And you know what? If necessary, we'll park our tour buses up your fucking faggot ass if necessary. Thank you so much. God bless.
Ms. Ramirez?
Thank you. What is repugnant is that we have to endure the torture, the terror, and the theft, and that is why we say what we say. Thank you. Public safety, finally, it is being echoed by the white establishment. How long have I been saying public safety for tourists, visitors, travelers, anybody? How long have I been saying it for so many goddamn years? And guess what? Finally, you're taking issue on this because they're feeling it now, and you know you're feeling overwhelmed by the white voters. So, and the Jews, that public safety is a priority. Yes, I sleep on Main Street in La Placita. I worry about the tourists, the visitors, and the travelers, and all the people that are there, from the fucking ghetto niggers, wetbacks, gangbangers, and white trash junkies. These people are getting robbed. They're allowed, the tourists are allowed to enjoy their lives, are they not? I watch them like a hawk because I want to make sure they do not get robbed or attacked or beaten, and I will call the LAPD. God bless the LAPD, for I love them dearly. God bless our travelers and our economy. God bless Trump and our America.
Up, Ms. Ramirez. Mr. Greenspan.
Mike Greenspan, happy Hanukkah, you scab rabbis, and let's include Merry Christmas and Happy Kwanzaa, because our city police officers have been given a nice gift. After all, there's no such thing as ticket quotas, but folks, you've been given the opportunity, handed to you on a silver platter, on a gold platter, to hand out tickets for these people driving these oversized vehicles onto many, many roads. Well, minis are great on skirts, but they're not good on roads. And when you have bigger and bigger vehicles like we like to manufacture, well, make laws against it. And have the police officers, our 10,000 strong, writing out tickets. Now, I know we don't have ticket quotas, but they're strictly enforced. Well, here's your chance. Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah. You've got all the rights to write all the tickets that are necessary. And don't forget my rights. City of LA versus Armando Herman.
Your time is up. Okay, that concludes public comment on this item. Again, for those of you in the audience, our apologies. Reasonable people might be led to conclude that some of that is designed to intimidate members of the public and keep them from coming to these deliberations. Mr. Koretz, do you have any questions for staff on this item, or are you okay?
I don't. It seems like a reasonable proposal to me.
All right, so without objection, we will approve this item. My understanding is it is duly referred to the Trade, Travel, and Tourism Committee, which will take it up in the month of January.
I think DOT had a amendment to the recommendations.
It's only referred to transportation.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
On the criteria that we are proposing, we'd like to Brian Gallagher, Principal Transportation Engineer, Department of Transportation. On the proposed guidelines, we'd like to strike warrant number 6, and we would like to amend recommendation number 3 to, instead of saying in coordination with LAPD, to make technical corrections and adjustments to the tour bus prohibition criteria. We'd like to replace that with to make technical revisions to the tour bus prohibition criteria.
And is the author of the proposal okay with those technical changes?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzo?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, so without objection?
No.
Without objection, that item is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I was mistaken. It's not duly referred, so it'll go to council in January.
It's approved as amended, sir.
Yes, approved as amended. Thank you. Okay. Is there anything on the agenda that needs to be heard today, or can everything else be continued? Okay. All right, so we are going to continue the balance of the agenda until January, and wish everybody here. Hold on just a second. Okay, all right. Okay, we are required to continue to have general public comment, in which case it will take only an extra couple minutes to do the balance of the agenda, so we will be able to move the other items today. Apologies for that. All right, so general public comment. We have Mr. Herman, Mr. Spindler, Ms. Ramirez.
We'll have a 50 cal in the head soon. United States versus Bagdasarian. It's unreasonable to judge people on the First Amendment based on content. Don't construe my feelings, my opinion, my emotion of love for First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Eighth Amendment, 14th Amendment. Because as long as there are niggers in this country, I am one hard-working nigger. To express shoot the nig is only an expression. The imperative that someone unknown like a third party would take a violent action is repulsive when you engage to incite the public that I am causing them harm. Foolish bullshit. What other item would you like me to read, sir?
You filled out a card on every item, so
Thank you.
Stick to the item.
That's what I want to hear. Thank you. So, as you see in current press, now let's go to item number 4. That's in regards to the Transportation Metropolitan Niggers authorized by the mayor of Los Angeles, Crenshaw Boulevard. Marquis C. Dawson don't know shit about running the operations of a storm drain. That's why they're pushing all of us out of our community simply to call it a white nigger nation. No, I'm a nigger. No. Better, I am a public speaker in a Transportation Authority Committee stating on the record, I will take back the fucking streets if I have to. Because again, Metro Crenshaw to LAX is a racist, prejudiced, Jewish motherfucker.
Your time is up.
Thank you. I will start with public comments, please.
Yeah, you have
Thank
1
you.
minute for all the items and 1 minute for general
Thank you
public
very
comment.
much. We must do something to protect the bus riders and Metro Rail riders. At the bus stop...
Excuse me, hold on, pause your time. Please escort Mr. Spindler and Mr. Herman out of the room.
You did not stop my time, sir. 58.
We're pausing your time. You're out of the room. You're out of the room.
Hey.
I gave you a warning earlier. You're out of the room.
No, man, there's no warning. What do you mean? What do you mean?
I observed them making noise on the side. Disturbing the meeting.
You guys started this in 2016,
Leave the room, sir.
all right? This is what you got. See, you guys start this shit, not me, man. See, you guys start this shit and you keep rolling the wrong fucking way, man. You're right. Wrong fucking way. I didn't disrupt this motherfucking meeting. You know I didn't disrupt this fucking meeting.
Oh, man.
Nothing but crooks. You wait, the FBI's got a big surprise for you guys.
Out of the room, Spindler.
You wait, man.
He's continuing.
Leave my shit alone. Leave my fucking shit alone. I ain't stolen shit.
Yeah.
You'll want my help. When you get those unsealed indictments, you'll be on your fucking knees begging for my help. We'll talk then. Meanwhile...
Mr. City Attorney, I would like to request that you send an email to Streffen in your office detailing and indicating that Mr. Spindler continued to be disruptive in this meeting so that we can continue to build a case against this freaking nonsense.
At the bus stops and the buses, in the Metro Rail, from criminal, violent, Chango, Latino gangbangers, brawler wetbacks, house niggers, and homeless faggots, bisexuals, trannies, and lesbo assholes who gang stalk and or want to harass, rob, bully, gang stalk, and or assault innocent riders. We must stop the fear and intimidation on all transportation facilities. Item number 1 and 2, I will consolidate. Ladies and gentlemen, check the, what we must do is do a background check on all the parked vehicles from like pimps Chango gangbangers, criminal wetbacks, cartel members stationing themselves to sell drugs, engage in part-time mobile prostitution, drug, weapons, and God bless the NRA, because the ones who control all the weapons, gangs, drugs, opiates, and prostitution are the fucking elite satanic Zionist Jews. And so they control everything. However, they pass it on to the gangbangers. They control the drugs too. Thank you very much. And now I have my 1 minute, excuse me.
For general, yes.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we must improve the quality of life in Los Angeles. All of us are being assaulted everywhere we go. And you wonder why there's low ridership on the buses, the rails, because public safety. People do not want to be harassed, attacked, beaten, and robbed everywhere they go. Stop the menacing behavior. This is why we fight like we do. We must protect all citizens. We must protect the law-abiding citizens, homeless, women, elderly, because there's so much elderly abuse. We must stop the racial hate crimes that are being perpetrated against us. And when we come here to defend ourselves and expose it and describe in detail the ugliness, we, the homeless, or the victims get thrown out, attacked, and violated. So what you're doing is you're inciting and you're perpetuating more violence against us for having the balls to expose the crimes out there. Stop the violence. Stop the connections of violence.
Thank you, Ms.
God bless
Ramirez.
America and Donald Trump.
You're done, Ms. Ramirez. Mr. Greenspan still here?
No.
There are a few others who had cards. I think they already spoke on the other item. Ms. Schwartz, did you want to speak again? Okay. Mr. Vera, did you want to speak again? Steve Donaldson, Adina Tessler, Robert Reed. Go ahead.
Sarah Jane Schwartz, representing homeowners on Beechwood Drive United in Hollywoodland. It is imperative with the increasing fire danger and lengthening of our fire season that the fire aspects of transportation be re-examined, particularly in conjunction with the Hollywood Hills. Transportation in the hills, a very high fire severity zone, does not just mean mobility, but is a matter of life and death. Not only must the narrow streets within the hills be examined for proper egress and ingress, but the overdevelopment and gridlock streets below the hills need reconsideration. If you have to evacuate the hills due to a fire, where do the people go? I know in my canyon, Beechwood Canyon, we can't even go to the south because we are cut off by the Hollywood Freeway. How do you evacuate the hills into a gridlocked Hollywood below? You are the ones responsible, and our lives are in your hands. Thank you.
Multiple. Thank you very much. I don't have any other cards here. I just want to check before we proceed. Is there anybody here who is not staff who is here for a particular item on the agenda?
Yeah. Mr. Bond?
But we'll just, that's all. Wayne's going to try to pull the last thing. He's going to try to, if he calls, the special, unless they're going to come in, because technically they were only.
Okay, so anybody here for any particular, yes, which item are you here?
Item 5.
For item 5, okay. Anybody else here on a particular item? Okay. Mr. Kretz, I'm going to recommend we move 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on consent, and 6 on consent with a slight direction. In addition to receive and file, direct LA DOT to report back with an update in 120 days. And item 7 with a slight correction or addition to direct LA DOT, in addition, Mr. Clerk, to receiving and filing, to solicit input on selection and prioritization criteria from the Pedestrian Advisory Committee, the Bicycle Advisory Committee, and the Transportation Commission, and to direct LA DOT to consider projects located anywhere within the Central City subregion, regardless of council district boundaries.
Do we need to hear from the gentleman that wants to speak on item 5 first before including it?
No, he didn't fill out a public speaker. He was just here. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
no objections.
I'll go with that. Okay, so those are the directions of the committee.
And item 8.
And item 8, we are going to continue until January.
Thank you. Until June?
Till January.
January. Got it.
And that concludes the regular meeting. We are, unless anybody is here for the PPDs and the special, we are going to not convene the special meeting and hold those items over. Unless there's anybody here for those items? Yes? No? Okay. Not seeing anybody here. We are adjourned. I wish everybody a very, very happy holidays and a happy new year.
Thank you.